Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Listen, do you put your records and store them on a shelf or in a crate? If you're a crate person, as am I, you may run out of space a lot. So what do you do about it? What are some tips and tricks? It comes right down to more crates most of the time, but let me show you my situation, what I got going on. So this is the way I've decided to set up my record collection. This is a part of it. I had ultimately hoped to have all of them at sort of these waist-high crates that I could just crate dig. I've created this like a store, as you can see, Rain's Record Shop. Got some memorabilia on the walls, etc., etc. And this was sort of the hope that it would just be just like going to the record shop. But unfortunately, like many of us, the collection seems to grow and creep beyond the initial ideas of size. And unlike a lot of people that put their records on a shelf, this takes up a lot of horizontal space because they're not stacked at all. And because of that, the collection has sort of creeped into other areas where I'm not able to have a waist-high, convenient browsing setup. So like this little box on the right, little wooden box, it was actually, I've got like 3 of these now that I've stolen from my wife. They were originally for cabinet organizing, like where you put your like spices and ingredients and things like that in these nice little wooden totes, but they happen to be perfect for records. So I conveniently allocated 3 of those for my use, and this is one of them. And then I've got this Victrola case that's holding 10-inch records. So, we've unfortunately grown to the point where we've got records on the floor. Here's another one down here. And just something's got to be done. I've even got a couple of plastic crates like this, which work. They're not ideal, but they do work. You can see that in some cases, I've got records just leaning up against the outside of something, which is unfortunate. You know what I mean? Like, because I'll inevitably kick them, tip them over and stuff like that, and that's not ideal. We got to get these things off the ground. We've got to get them at least into a good crate. This is probably my least favorite crate that I have. This is a Crosley no tools required crate, and it just slots together like a Lego, and the thing's always falling apart. It's always falling apart. But even this, I've outgrown it. I've got some records leaning up on the outside, which I don't want that. That's not ideal. And I've got these Reader's Digest sets just leaning up against the wall as well. They need to be in a crate. So I've definitely got some room for improvement. Now, I'm not against using a cardboard box when you have one and it fits like this. Works really good for some of my 45s seen here. Why not use it? Put some stickers on there and you're good to go. But when you can upgrade, you should upgrade. And it's all like, where do you start? My very first record storage anything was that red plastic crate that was being used for something else. And I'm like, hey, this would hold my records. And then when I grew out of that, I grabbed another thing and another thing, and it just kind of grows. And eventually you get to the point where you have enough stuff that you need to find out a way to approach your storage. And I really like Crosley crates. They're very the regular ones, not that, no tools required one. But if you can manage to find a screwdriver and put this thing together, have a little strength in your wrist, and I know, people have different challenges and whatnot, but if you can either put one of these together or somebody can help you, this is the way to go because they're very rugged and they're just very well designed. I've got a number of them. That one you see right there is sort of the standard Crosley crate. They've also done collabs with the Beatles, which I think are really neat. There's another Beatles collaboration one of the darker stained ones as well. So it's time to add a couple of more crates, I think. Some real crates, not just some random things I've got laying around the house. So I've got 2 of the standard crates, one with the darker stain again, and then I've got a type of crate I haven't tried before. It's like a 12-inch cubed stackable crate. So these stackable record crates are a little different because it's like a cube. I think it's 12 inches. Well, it accommodates a 12-inch record, but it's not rectangular unlike the other ones. But yeah, you can stack them. So this might be good for like, moving. Like if you were moving and you wanted to, be able to take the crate, and pack it to go. It might make it a little more difficult. We'll see to kind of flip through the records. But compared to a regular record crate, where I'm assuming that's around 10 inches or so, where there's a couple inches left at the top, this one is a bit different. So I'm going to put all three of these together and see if I can upgrade the storage situation around here. So this plain one here is $31 and change. The mahogany stained one is $42, and the cubed one, the 12-inch high one, is about $37 and change. These hold 75 albums. The 12-inch one obviously is going to hold somewhat less, but it's a good investment. And when you're just starting out, it's like, oh man, another thing I have to buy. And like I said, you don't have to buy them. I mean, they're not a requirement. But if you want to go the crate route, it's a good way to go. So all of the contents are, bundled in here. There's screws. It will require a screwdriver, but, this isn't difficult. It takes a minute, but it's worth it in the long run. Okay, so here's the instructions. I mean, it's pretty simple, and I'm not going to make this video a how-to video. It's like 4 parts, right? So just make sure you've got the right part, put the screws in, and you're done. I do want to show the construction, though, and sort of the finished product. So this is like wood burned in, the design, and I think that looks good. And the corner bracing pieces look to be like approximately 1-inch solid wood. And then they've got these wood panels on the back. Everything's labeled too. The side walls and the bottom are sort of this like, I don't know what you would call this, but they're a laminate wood, and the construction is done in such a way that there's a gap below it. So the records aren't completely touching the ground, and they're raised up a little bit. So yeah, this is all sanded. The corners are a little bit sharper. So if you wanted to round these off a little bit more with some sandpaper, you could do that. I've never felt the need to do that, but it could be done. All the screw holes are pre-drilled and everything. And also you can see here that they're recessed down in there, so they will lay flat. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this together. Okay, 1 of 3 done. It takes a good 10-15 minutes. There's 20 screws, and you'll be wishing you had a power screwdriver by the end of it. By the way, am I the only person who now thinks that these old Stanley screwdrivers with the rigid plastic handle aren't that great? Like, I inherited these from my dad, but the cheapo Walmart ones are way more ergonomic. And I always find myself preferring these, especially if you get one with like a rubber handle. This one just has a plastic handle, but it's much more ergonomic. Plus, the dimensions of the actual Phillips head make a difference as well. But anyway, I got through it. I've got another 2 to do, so let's go ahead and do the mahogany one next. Okay, I've got this one out of the package. Wanted to show you sort of the finish up close. It's got a nice stained look to it. I mean, it's the same exact design. The only design, well, it's not even a design difference, but it's got black screws instead of the non-black screws. I think those were like brass colored. Finished on all sides, same construction. So I'll go ahead and put this together next. Okay, got this one together now. This one I noticed when I was putting it together, there was a couple of holes that were drilled out a little too wide because the screws didn't have much tension going into it. It's almost like they were stripped out. It still held fine, and overall this thing is still really rigid. But let's go ahead and look at that 12-inch cube one and see how that differs, if at all. Looks like pretty much the same design. It's just the dimensions are altered somewhat. So the side panels, the bottom panels are all the same dimension. So I'll go ahead and put this one together now, and then I'll be happily done putting things together for a few days. And there it is. Okay, so about 30 minutes work, a little bit of elbow grease, and you too can have some good record crates. Great storage option if you don't want to go the shelf route. So I definitely think I prefer the natural wood ones. I don't know, those are my favorite, but now that they're built, I'm going to replace some of those storage vessels that we looked at earlier and see how it's improved. See what you think the final product. So I was really glad to get rid of that fall apart crate. It wasn't working. I've added the mahogany one in its place. And for now, I've put the 12-inch one here. I do need some more overall space, so I can't just arbitrarily replace all of the storage things that I have with these 3 new crates I've bought, but I definitely want to add some breathing room, and I had to upgrade that one specifically. And this crate was an excellent way to put my Reader's Digest box sets in a very tidy way. Still have a couple things leaning up against the outside, so it's a never-ending battle, like I said, but definitely made a dent, definitely making progress. All right, my friends, and that's going to do it. Links down below. Mostly a huge thank you for being there, for all of your support. Hope you had fun with this. Would love to hear your storage tips and tricks. How do you store your records? Even send me pictures. Shoot me an email, recordology1938@gmail.com. Would love to do sort of a vinyl den show off, like a showcase of your listening spaces. If you're over 18, shoot an email with your setup and we'll do a show highlighting the coolest ones. Recordology1938@gmail.com. Open to anybody over the age of 18 globally. And if we get enough submissions, perhaps we'll put a show together. I would love to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, we've got some cool shows coming your way, some great reviews, some very cool things, and I keep hinting at it. Can't quite reveal it yet, but we've got some major surprises coming in the next few weeks. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. My friends, that's going to do it for today, so happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.